And our first speaker is Stephanie Weisser. She is currently a researcher and acting curator at the Musical Instruments Museum in Brussels, and she's also a lecturer in ethnomusicology at Brussels University. So her background is in musicology, ethnomusicology, and musical acoustics. And she's presenting work together with Didier Demolin, and you've heard the title already. It's the variability as a key concept when different is the same and vice versa.
Dear participants, good morning, and thank you, Anya, for your presentation. I'll be talking to you this morning about the question of variability, which is central in the ethnomusicological endeavor. So every ethnomusicologist faces variability constantly, especially, but not always, when the music he or she studies is not theorized. Taking into consideration this variability is important, as it provides valuable information. Variability in forms, rhythm, skills, and every other significant characteristics provides access to what the French ethnomusicologist Simcha Arom calls the pattern, which is the simplest, sometimes never performed, invariant form of a musical piece or group of musical pieces. When we get to the pattern, we can formalize the rules governing the realization of the variants, the margins of realization, or how far we can go from the pattern without switching out of the category. Then we have access to the structure of music. In this presentation, I will focus on the classical research question in ethnomusicology, the variability of the musical scales. What's a scale? Well, a scale is the basis of all melody construction, and all melodies are concrete manifestations of a musical scale, which seems to be a tautology. There are several definitions in ethnomusicology for the scale, the mode, the pitch set, the intervallic pole, and the use of these terms may vary according to the authors and or the context. In this presentation, and in order to try to avoid confusion, I will use the word scale in the most general sense possible. The scale here will be defined as a culturally pertinent set of intervals. According to Fernando in 2007, three main types of pitch organization exist in the world. First, you have a fixed set of intervals with a reference pitch, such as the Western tempered system. Second, you have a system of archetypal sets of intervals, not necessarily tempered, sometimes performed with variations, and often based on a conscious theorization, such as the Indian and the Arab system. And third, you have a complex dynamic model in perpetual reconstruction and actualization within the limits established by a collective norm. According to the situation the ethnomusicologist faces, different approaches and levels of investigation are needed, especially when there is no theory regarding the scales in the studied musical culture. One of the first access to the scale will, of course, be the performed music itself, but this is not the only one. In this paper, I took as a case study the secular scales of the Amhara from northern and central Ethiopia. According to most of the published research, Amhara secular scales are supposed to be 4, pentatonic, without a fixed reference pitch, and based for 3 of the 4 on tempered or quasi-tempered intervals. But that is theory. In practice, the situation is much more complicated. And previous research, including in recordings made in 1939, show that intervals are not clearly tempered, not at all, sometimes, and that there is probably much more than only 4 scales. So, the Amhara secular music is traditionally performed by Azmari, who are specialized professional, outcast musicians and entertainers. Azmari learn to play music through family environment without formalized training. Usually, male Azmari play instruments, sing and dance, while the female Azmari only sing and dance. Instruments played by this group are the one-stringed fiddle masinko, and to a lesser extent these days, the 6 strings lyre called the krar. In this performance, the singing voice is central, as the Asmari composed their own ironic, double-meaning verses in order to please and amuse their audience and get tips in return. Asmari traditionally perform in Asmari Bet, which means the house of the Asmari, in the cities, and in weddings, collective ceremonies, including the religious one, and private parties. Here you will see a short clip from a movie made by Adrian Hoffer from Zurich University in 2011. And in this clip, the Asmari, you will see, has been hired for a wedding. In the first part of the film, you see the musician teasing the audience and getting tips in return. And in the second part, you'll see him making the guests dance. So in this study, the focus was put on the tzeta. Tezeta is a word that designates both a song, so it is called then Tezeta Zefun, one of the supposed 4 scales I told you earlier of the Amhara secular music. It is then called Tezeta Kenyet. In order to investigate the Tezeta Kenyet, 3 different corpuses were gathered and analyzed. First, the Tezeta Zefun, the songs, played by 5 different Asmari and recorded off context in 2005 in Addis Ababa. And I will just, so you can listen to it. Another corpus was gathered, and it was called positions. That's the word the musician used, and it's composed of exercise meant to familiarize the fingers in preparation of the Tezeta Zefun, and demonstrated by the main informant. This is always the same during 10 Masinko class. It is Tezeta produced by inversions of interval set for another scale, but used when there is no time to completely change the tuning. So this was demonstrated by the main informant on the krar, so the lyre, but this technique exists also with the masinko and on the flute, the washint. This, what you heard, is called Tezeta. So all the intervals were measured in cents in a very classical procedures. The frequencies of the sounds were calculated using Meertens box, Praat, or audioskult according to the situation and the quality of the sound. And statistical information such as the mean, the relative standard deviation, and the range were also calculated. So here you have a glance at the result. The complete data are provided in the full paper. What is interesting here to say, and what rather unexpected in these results, sorry, I put that away, is that the smallest variability is presented here in the songs corpus, which wasn't expected. the position corpus as an exercise meant to improve the precision of the performance of the intervallic setting as a variability that is more important than in the song it is supposed to prepare to. And also the intervallic setting found in Gilbach show a very important range. So usually Tzeta is called an anemitonic scale, and you see here we have some examples where it is really not the case. So how to interpret these results? We can interpret these results if we consider the context in which each of the corpus is performed. And if we consider them as different circumstances of the actualization of the theoretical idea of the Tzeta Kenyet. First, Gilbach is an acceptable solution. When there is no time to change the tuning completely, it can be therefore considered as the limit of the Tzeta system. Second, the exercises are rather abstract realization of the theoretical idea. So the Tzeta Kenyet is only fully actualized in a preferred and preferable form in the Tzeta Sefen, in the song. However, knowing the limits of the system as well as the possible, even if not preferred, realization is very useful if we need to understand what is the theoretical Tzeta Kenyet, meaning what makes Tzeta Tzeta. So, if we get a closer look at the Gilbach corpus, we will see here that there is two types of intervals. 1, 2, and 4 in green are smaller, and 3 and 5 are bigger. The switch value is around 250 cents. So we can formalize that as these rules that you see here. If we look at the Tzeta position corpus, we can see also the two types of intervals, but interval 2 is different. Even if the mean value is similar to interval here 1 and 3, we can see here the variability is much more important as the relative standard variation is higher. So indeed, interval 2 may vary much more. So we have to change and add a rule here that is in bold. And it doesn't challenge, the interval 2 can be bigger without challenging the Tzeta identity. So we can now get to the formalization and find the defining interval of the Tzeta, which are 3 and 5 are bigger, 1 and 4 are smaller, and 2 may vary. And this explains why the common transcription in Western staff works. Actually, Tzeta is usually transcribed as tone, tone, tone and a half, tone, tone and a half. That fits the rules that we have here. It also explains why other songs with a bigger interval 2 are also classified as Tzeta, and it was one of the surprises. So if we compare with another corpus that was recorded and analyzed in 1976, we can observe that the results also fit these rules. So it seems that these rules work also in the historical perspective. It's in green in the diagram, the result of 1976. So this analysis shows that several corpus are useful to investigate the scales. An intervallic setting makes sense in regard with the norm, with a theoretical model, not by itself. Therefore, measurements in sense are not sufficient to fully understand the scale, especially when it comes to the issue of variability. It must be noted here that the variability depends to a great deal of the musical culture. Here we saw that a variability of 200 cents might not necessarily be pertinent. In other cultures, such as Indian classical music, a range of 20 cents might be significant. So variability provides an access point to the theoretical model of the pitch organization and to the rules governing the musical performances. So if an automatized tool for the recognition of scale is to be developed and aims to be applied for different musical cultures, it seems important first to include the variability, and two, to be able to modulate this variability according to the musical rules of the system. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. We have some time for questions. musicologists like, many musicologists, for instance, Irene Didier, Peter Nelson, Leonard Meyer, talk about that variation in music is a fundamental concept. It occurs in all music. However, if you check an authority like Oxford Dictionary online on variation, what we find there is a long article about variation in classical Western music. Nothing about ethnomusicology. So to me it feels like I agree this is a fundamental concept, but we research this in all kinds of hooks within musicology. So you are in a different hook, let's just say. But do you have ideas on how we could bridge between those hooks, or how your research on variation could contribute on investigating variation indeed as a fundamental concept about understanding music in those different cultures, and not just studying one culture, studying another culture. Any ideas about this? Or would you say no variation in classical music and Western music, that's completely different, and it doesn't help me anything to try to?
No, I think bridge can be put. It's the same concept. For me, it's the same concept that applies to different topics in the music. Of course, variation is more in the form in the Western, in the scales, because it's not fixed. It happens also in timbre in other culture and so on. Yeah. And of course, you have to use the tools of the topic you're studying, the topic in question. But I think the idea behind that is similar. It's appropriation of something that is theoretical and shared by everyone, and is actualized, personalized, and performed at the moment. So something in the performance might be in the idea of performance might be something like that.
Yeah. I wonder about that question you said, what is same and what is different, and that could be like the key to understand a musical culture, if you understand and can describe what is it that is considered the same or what is considered different.
Categorization also, that would be a nice point of entry for that question, I think. What is within the same category and switch off to another one?
Yeah.
Something like that. On the top of my head. I don't know if I answered the question. Thank you.
More questions from the audience.
I'm not quite sure if I completely understood how the different corpora were made up, but I think there was one set where it was songs played by the musicians, and then a set of recordings which came from practicing.
Yeah.
How much is practicing common there for the musicians, or how much do they just play their songs?
I can tell you from what I saw, what I witnessed. I think the musicians are practicing a little bit when they have to change the scale, because the fingers are used to one distance and they have to get used to the other one. So yeah, it's not completely, it's not a formalized training, but some of them have exercise, yes. Yeah. I don't know how to the extent of this practice, however.
So one last question.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering, have you asked the musicians themselves about the variance that you noticed in the scales?
Yeah.
And what did they say about it?
It's the same. It's the same. They told me that. It's the same. That's the same. I checked with another set of recordings for another instrument, and I was wondering, maybe they don't hear it, the difference. And I checked the ear of a musician, and he heard 25% of difference. So it's not a question of perception, of threshold of perception. I checked that, yeah. I thought that too at first. No, they have a very good ear.
So thank you very much again for your presentation, and next speaker.